Hello students, this is the lecture by Dr. Kavita Alkanta, myself Dr. Kavita Alkanta, guest lecturer, Department of Chemistry, Vijayanagara College, Hospet. Today we are going to start with the topic hormones. Before going to the topic, let us discuss what are these hormones and how are they produced. As we all know, there are two kinds of glands in our body. First type of glands are endocrine glands. And the other types are exocrine glands. So what are these endocrine glands? These endocrine glands are the one where hormones are released. That is, these are ductless glands. These ductless glands release hormones. That is, they don't have pipe-like structure and they release hormones directly into the bloodstream. And these exocrine glands are the ones that have ducts. They have ducts. And these produces non-hormonal products. So, our body consists of two kinds of glands. One is endocrine gland and the other one is exocrine gland. So, endocrine glands are the ductless glands. Those produce hormones. And exocrine glands have the ducts. They produce non-hormonal products. Here, our topic is hormones. Okay. Yes. And before that, these endocrine glands, as I told you, they are ductless glands. That is the lack of ducts. So they secrete it directly into the lymph or blood of the body. Hence, the name endo is within and crine is to secrete. So the endocrine glands secrete within the body directly into the lymphatic drainages. Okay, and these endocrine glands of the body includes the pituitary glands, thyroid gland, parathyroid gland, hypothalamus, pancreas, gonads, etc. So these are all endocrine glands, and these endocrine glands are the main sources of our hormones or today's topic. Okay. Yes. Now let us enter or see to our main topic. So the main topic of today is our hormones. As I told you, they are released by the endocrine glands. Yes. How do I define these hormones? These hormones are the chemical substances. Yes. These hormones are chemical substances secreted by the cell into extracellular fluids. So these chemical substances are secreted by cells where into the extracellular fluids that regulate the metabolic functions of other cells in the body. So what do? They regulate the metabolic functions of the body. So hormones play a very important role to regulate the metabolic functions of every cell inside the body. So once again I will repeat the definition. Hormones are nothing but the chemical substances that are secreted by the cell into the extracellular fluids which regulate the metabolic function of each cell in the body. Okay? Yes. Or you can also tell that hormones are the chemical messenger. Generally, you can also tell them as chemical messengers. Okay, of our system that coordinate the communication between the cell and tissue. So, what do? They coordinate the connections between the cell and tissue. This is the other way you can define the hormones. So what do? They maintain the overall homeostasis of the body. They carry the information from sensory cell to the other required target cells that respond to the change. So hope you understood the hormones and its definition and the introduction. Now let us see the classification of hormones. How are these hormones classified. Yes. The hormones are classified based on various criteria. Okay, let us see what are the criteria. First is depending on the proximity of their sites, that is where their actions are taking place. First one. Okay, depending on the proximity of the sites, these are again classified into three types. What are they? This is first. In that, the subtype are autocrine hormones. Autocrine hormones. So as the name indicates, autocrine, those that act on the same cell that synthesize them. Auto is self, so they act on same cell that synthesize them. Okay, so these are the site is depending on the cell which synthesize them, and there the hormones exhibit their activity. So such type of hormones are known as autocrine hormones. And second type is paracrine hormones. Paracrine hormones. Yes, what are these? These act on the cell which are nearby relative to the cell which is released. So, if a cell is released, this cell, for example, releases the hormones. So, these they exhibit their action to the nearby cells. So, they are known as paracrine hormones. For example, the growth factor, which are proteins that stimulate the cellular proliferation and differentiation. For example, we can give the growth hormones. Okay. So what do? These growth hormones that released by the body will increase the development of the body. So that is, the cell helps the other cell in the growth. So these are the examples. And the third type of hormone is endocrine hormones. Endocrine hormones. Yes, what are these? Again, I told you endocrine glands which have ductless glands. Similarly, your endocrine hormones are the one which are directly released into the bloodstream, like endocrine glands. Understood? The hormones released directly into the bloodstream. Those hormones are known as endocrine hormones, and example for this I can quote is insulin. Hope everybody knows this, right? These insulins are the hormones that are released from pancreas directly into the bloodstream, which regulates the glucose level or glucose uptake by the liver and the muscles. So these are the three types of hormones that comes under the proximity of their sites. Okay. Let's see the second type of classification. The second type of classification is based on the chemical structure. Okay. Chemical structure. And based on the type of chemical structure, there are four types of hormones. And the first type is peptide or protein hormones. So what do you mean by peptides? They are the long chain of proteins, right? So these are the peptide hormones. As the name indicates, they are large polypeptide precursor. Large polypeptide precursors. They undergo processing before secretion. Again, example, I can quote insulin. So these insulin have 51 amino acids combined together to form one insulin hormone. So they are known as peptide hormone or protein hormone. And second type is amino acid derivatives. amino acid derivative or derivative hormones. So what do you mean by amino acid? They are the basic component of our protein, right? All the hormones are proteins. An example for this is adrenaline, or you can understand thyroid hormone. Hope you have heard about it. So these thyroid hormones are the amino acid derivatives. That is, they are having amino acid component with other chemical component with them. And the third type of is fatty acid derivatives. That is, these proteins or hormones consists of fatty acid derivative with them, and they are prostaglandins. Prostaglandins. Okay. And the fourth type or the last type coming under the chemical structure is steroid hormone. We'll go in details with this in the further classes. And the steroid hormones are nothing but example testosterone. We'll go in detail about the steroid hormone in later classes. Okay. So these are the four types of hormones coming under the chemical structure: peptide protein hormone, amino acid derivatives, fatty acid derivative, and steroid hormones. Okay. And the third type of classification is that is based on the solubility of our hormone, that is whether they are soluble in aqueous media or not. So depending on the solubility, there are two types of classes. One is hydrophilic or lipophobic. Yes. So hydro is water component, philic is loving, lipo is organic component, phobic is hating. So if they are water loving, there will be organic hating, organic solvent hating. So this is the meaning of the hydrophilic and hydrophobic. So these components or hormones are soluble in water. Hydrophilic is they are water loving, so they are soluble. Okay. And example again I can quote, it is insulin. They are water soluble components. And second type is vice versa of this, hydrophobic or lipophilic. These hormones are not soluble in the aqueous media but soluble in the organic solvents. An example for this is thyroid glands or hormones or steroid hormones. Okay, so these are the classifications of the hormones based on the sites, proximity of site, chemical structure and solubility. Okay, yes. There are more than 50% of the hormones known for us. In that, 50% are the steroids and remaining are the non-steroidal hormones. So the main part is steroid, which we are going to discuss in the later classes. Now, let me tell you the brief classification of the hormones in a schematic diagram. These hormones are also classified as such. That is, hormones are classified into two types: steroids and non-steroids. Okay, and these steroids are again classified into sex hormones and adrenal cortical hormones. Further, these sex hormones are again classified into female hormones and male sex hormones, where again female sex hormone is further classified into estrogen and estrogens. which we are going to see in detail in our further classes. Okay, so this is a again schematic classification of the hormones, where 50% of the hormones are steroids and 50% are non-steroidal hormones. Okay, yes. Now let us see the further steroidal hormones. Before going to the steroidal hormones, we have to know what are steroids. Yes, what are steroids? They are nothing but natural or synthetic organic compound that are having 17 carbon atoms which are arranged in 4 ring structures. Okay, there are 17 carbon atoms with 4 rings. They are 1, 2, cyclo, penteno, per, hydro, phenanthrene. Okay, these are the steroids. So this is the basic component of the steroid. In structure, they are having 3 benzene structure and 1 pentene structure. This is the basic structure, which is nothing but 1,2-cyclopentanophenol hydrophenanthrene. Okay, and the hormones that belong to these steroids are known as steroid hormones. Okay, yes, an example is aldosterone, testosterone. I'll show you the structure of testosterone, so you will get to know the structure as well as the hormone. Testosterone will be having the basic skeleton of the steroids with this is our testosterone. So you can see the basic structure of a steroid further with the derivatives. So these are steroidal hormones. Okay. Next, let us see what are sterols. Yes, these sterols are nothing but steroids, but having crystalline form. So we can call this as crystalline steroids. Okay, which consist of secondary alcohol group in them. So common alcohol group which is having a solid structure is known as sterols. Hence the name sterol. That is, in Greek, stereos is solid and all is hydroxy group or the alcoholic group. Okay, these are the sterols. And these sterols are the components of plant as well as animal cells. They are waxy in nature, colorless solids, and soluble in most of the organic compound containing one alcoholic function. And if they are saturated, then they are plant components, and if they are unsaturated, then they are both plant and animal components. These are the sterols. And these sterols are classified into 3 types based on their sources. Okay, based on sources, there are 3 types. First one is zoosterol. As the name indicates, zoo is animal, right? So they are obtained from the animal source. So the name is zoosterol. An example is cholestanol. Okay, and second one is phytosterols, and they, as the name indicates, phyto, it is obtained from the plant sources. An example is stigmasterols, and the third type is mycosterols, and they are, as the name indicates, sources from fungi and yeast. Okay, an example is ergosterols. So these are the sterols and their classification or types. Next, let us see sex hormones in the next classes.